The sun hadn't fully risen yet. The water is still quiet. Out here in Louisiana, mornings start before the world wakes up. My name is Thomas. I've been a shrimp fisherman my whole life. My father did this, and his father before him. This dock, it raised me. Not in a classroom, but in lessons. Hard lessons, real lessons, the kind you don't forget. When I was young, I thought fishing was simple. You go out, you catch shrimp, you sell them, you make money. That's what I thought. That's what most people think. But money is never that simple. I learned that the hard way. The first time I ever made real money, I thought I had it all figured out. I was maybe 19, first big season, boat full of shrimp, cash in my pocket. Felt like a king. I bought things I didn't need, fixed things that weren't broken, ate like I'd never be hungry again. And then, the next season came. Storms hit early. Fuel prices went up. Shrimp prices dropped. And suddenly, that money was gone. Completely gone. I stood right here, on this dock, looking at the water, and I realized something important. Making money is one thing. Keeping money, that's something else entirely. Nobody had taught me that. Nobody had explained budgeting. Nobody talked about saving. Nobody explained risk. I had skills for fishing, but no skills for money. And that nearly cost me everything. That morning changed my life, because that was the first time I understood what I didn't know. And what I didn't know was financial literacy. I remember that first bad year like it was yesterday. Not because of the storms, not because of the low prices, but because of how unprepared I was. See, I thought income meant stability. I thought as long as money came in, I was safe. But I didn't understand expenses, fuel costs, maintenance, dock fees, equipment repairs, ice, labor. Everything adds up. And when it adds up faster than your income, you're in trouble. That year, I didn't track anything. I didn't write things down. I didn't plan. I just reacted. Money came in, money went out. And I never stopped to ask, where is it going? That's the first lesson. If you don't track your money, you don't control your money. And if you don't control your money controls you. I had no budget, no savings, no emergency fund. So when things went wrong, I had nothing to fall back on. That's when debt entered my life. I borrowed to survive, and borrowing felt easy at first. But debt is quiet. It grows slowly. Interest, little by little, month by month, until one day you realize you're working not for yourself, but for your past decisions. That's when I realized something else. Financial literacy is not about numbers. It's about decisions. And every decision has consequences, especially the ones you don't understand. That year didn't just take my money. It took my confidence. It forced me to ask, why didn't I know this? Why wasn't I taught this? And that question stayed with me. I went to school, just like everyone else. I learned history. I learned math. I learned science. But nobody taught me money. Nobody explained interest. Nobody explained opportunity cost. Nobody explained that every dollar has a job. Out here on the water, everything has a purpose. Every net, every rope, every gallon of fuel. But back then, my money had no purpose. It just came and went. That's when I started learning, not from books at first, but from mistakes. Then I met an older fisherman. Name was Raymond. He told me something I'll never forget. Thomas, money talks, but only if you understand its language. That stuck with me. So I started learning that language. Budgeting, that's telling your money where to go. Saving, that's protecting your future. Investing, that's growing what you've earned. And risk, that's understanding what could go wrong. Once I started learning these things, everything changed. I wasn't just fishing anymore. I was running a business. A real business. And that's another lesson. No matter what you do, you are managing money, whether you realize it or not. And if you don't learn it early, you pay for it later. I paid for it, in stress, in debt, in lost time. Time I can't get back. That's why learning early matters, because mistakes get more expensive the older you get. The real change didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, one decision at a time. I started with a notebook. Simple. Every dollar that came in, I wrote it down. Every dollar that went out, I wrote it down. At first it felt tedious, but then something happened. Patterns appeared. I saw where my money was leaking. Small things, unnecessary spending, poor timing, lack of planning. That's when I built my first budget. Not perfect, but intentional. That word matters. Intentional. Financial literacy is about intention. It's about deciding before the money arrives where it will go. I started saving, not because I had extra, but because I made it a priority. Even small amounts. Consistency matters more than size. Then came the emergency fund, because out here, things always go wrong eventually. Engines fail, storms come, markets shift. But with savings, I had breathing room. I had options. That's what money gives you. Options. And options reduce stress. That's another lesson. Financial literacy doesn't just build wealth. It builds peace of mind. And that's something you can't measure, but you feel it every day. Out on the water, nothing is guaranteed. You can prepare, you can plan, but you can't control everything. That's risk. And risk exists in finance too. Prices go up, prices go down, costs change, income fluctuates. If you ignore risk, you suffer from it. If you understand risk, you manage it. I started thinking differently, not just how much can I make, but what could go wrong. That changed everything. I diversified. Different buyers, different timing, different strategies. I kept reserves. I reduced unnecessary risk. That's another lesson. Financial literacy is not about avoiding risk. It's about understanding it. Because risk is everywhere, in careers, in investments, in life. And the earlier you learn that, the better decisions you make. Young people often think, I'll figure it out later. But later costs more. Mistakes compound, just like interest. That's why early learning matters, because time is your greatest advantage. Let me tell you something I wish I understood at 19. Time is the most valuable asset you have. Not money, time. Because money can grow if you give it time. But if you wait, you lose that advantage. I didn't start saving early. I didn't invest early. And that cost me years. Years of growth. Years of opportunity. That's compound growth. Small amounts growing over time. It doesn't look impressive at first, but over years, it becomes powerful. That's why learning early matters, because financial literacy early leads to better habits. Better habits lead to better outcomes, and better outcomes build a stronger future. If I could go back, I wouldn't change everything, but I would change one thing. I would learn earlier. Because time, once it's gone, you don't get it back. These days, I don't just fish. I teach, not in a classroom, but right here on this dock. Young folks come around. They ask questions about fishing, about life. And I always tell them the same thing. Learn money early, not later, not when you're in trouble, not when you're in debt. Early, because knowledge is cheaper than mistakes. I tell them about budgeting, saving, investing, risk, and most importantly, responsibility. Because money reflects choices, and choices shape your future. I don't want them to learn the hard way, like I did, because the hard way is expensive. Now, when I stand here at sunrise, I see things differently. It's not just a dock. It's not just a boat. It's a life built on lessons. Financial literacy. It's not about being rich. It's about being prepared. It's about understanding. It's about making informed decisions. It's about freedom. The freedom to choose. The freedom to adapt. The freedom to survive tough times. And the freedom to build something meaningful. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this. Money will always be part of your life, whether you study it or not. So you have two choices: ignore it or understand it. And understanding it, that's what financial literacy is all about. And the earlier you start, the stronger your future will be. Because out here, and in life, preparation makes all the difference. And that's a lesson worth learning early.